By now, you've probably already seen this very polarizing clip about Rocket Raccoon.
If you play Rocket, I hope you enjoy him. Genuinely, when you get up to this elo, you are costing SR. Period. Hey, team, enjoy the amplifier. It really does dick. It does dick. At least Jeff swallows me up and saves me. This fucking little raccoon, all he does is put an amplifier down, and then the other team, everyone just walks away from it. That's all that happens.
Yeah, no punches held there. This character is undeniably strange because on one hand, Rocket Raccoon can and will let you down in the absolute biggest moments, but on the other hand, I think you could hand this character to a real raccoon and they would still exit the game with only 2 deaths and 60,000 total healing. Despite people swearing he's trash, he has the second highest win rate in the entire game. So if he's so good, yet so bad, why is he so polarizing? I think we have to start in the most obvious place to start in a hero shooter: pacifism. Rocket Raccoon doesn't have to deal a lot of damage. He actually doesn't have to deal damage. Seriously, there are people getting to Grandmaster not dealing damage while only playing Rocket Raccoon. Now, I already hear what you're saying. www.youtube.com/@adeliciousmango. Of course, he could just find people to carry him while he plays Rocket, and he can simply get carried to Grandmaster. And to that, I would say you're right, commenter. But this is true even for Rocket players playing by themselves, or playing with a full team, or playing with anything. The 2 highest win rate characters in Marvel Rivals, according to RivalsMeta.com, are Storm, arguably the best character in the game who received numerous buffs going into Season 1, and the Rat. In fact, these 2 characters are the only characters out of the entire roster to receive an S tier rating on the website. And this is after 185,000 recorded matches with Rocket Raccoon. Granted, Mr. Fantastic has the 7th highest win rate in the game, so these win rate numbers aren't everything, but it is something. So, case closed, right? Rocket Raccoon is an easy character to play that gets tremendous value just by spamming heals, and everyone should pick Rocket because it's a great character and wins you the most games, right? Wrong! While numbers don't lie, they don't always tell you the full story, and there is absolutely a glaring, obvious weakness in Rocket Raccoon's game. Unlike a lot of support ults, Rocket Raccoon's ultimate won't save you from I'll let my personal best friend, Tim the Tatman, I don't actually know him, explain his issues with the amplifier.
But Rocket is fucking dog shit. If you have the opportunity to play Luna, Invisible Woman, Cloak, Mantis, if you have the option to play those 4, they diff. They are better support players than Rocket. Tough pill to swallow. He has 85 hours on Rocket. That should be bannable.
Why out of all the supports you play
85 hours on one character, bro. And it's fucking Rocket. That should be bannable. I'm not even kidding. Hey, team, enjoy the amplifier. And then the team goes like this. The other team just walks away. They just walk away from it, bro. They don't have to fight it because it floats in the air and it has a certain radius where it can't tether to you, brother. So, hey, team, enjoy the amplifier. It really does dick. It does dick. At least Jeff swallows me up and saves me. This fucking little raccoon, all he does is put an amplifier down, and then the other team, everyone just walks away from it. That's all that happens. Oh, at least he's got his resurrect ability. Yeah, that was fucking sick, dude. I got rezzed into the storm ult for a second time. That was fucking great. Cool. Good. That's a game-changing resurrect. No, it's fucking not. All I did was die 2 times to 1 storm. That's it. If you play Rocket, I hope you enjoy him. Genuinely, when you get up to this elo, you are costing SR. Period.
Tim, his damage
what do you need, bro?
His average damage per 10 minutes is 807.
What?
Clearly, some very good points are being made here. It's just not a very scary ultimate. But perhaps Rocket Raccoon's utility is saved by the fact that, yeah, he may not have an ultimate that can save you from dying, but he's got a respawn beacon, and that's pretty cool, right? So yes, let's talk about Rocket by talking about Adam Warlock. Adam Warlock has arguably one of the best ultimate abilities in the game on paper. Your whole team gets 2 lives, essentially. That sounds pretty great to me. That means a team has to win 2 team fights to take a point or push the cart. That seems like an obvious great choice. You should pick Adam Warlock right now and go to Grandmaster. Except 1 life is more valuable than 2. In Marvel Rivals, you'd rather just live once than live twice. Let me explain. You could respawn your whole team with Adam Warlock, and that is outstanding, but there are just other characters that are much more useful in making sure your team never dies in the first place, and it might as well be 2 lives without the added lost time of waiting to die and then respawn in your safe corridor and run back into the fight. You could just simply throw a dance party with Luna Snow, live for about 12 seconds, and you might as well have spent that time respawning, except you're already fighting, you're already in the point, and the situation on your end is just so much better. Rocket Raccoon suffers from this same ultimate issue, except even worse. Sure, your amplifier can give you 40% more damage, but that really means nothing in the face of Magneto's righteous ball of fury. Your 40% damage buff looks very cute while Doctor Strange is extracting the soul from your body with the Eye of Agamotto. And while your whole team dies, one of you gets the lucky chance to be respawned immediately to suffer the same fate and just die right over again. Yes, Rocket Raccoon can pump out so many heals you'd think you never even get to that point, but inevitably, you are going to need an ult that will save your life, and Rocket Raccoon simply can't do it in the way that Luna Snow, Mantis, Cloak and Dagger, or Invisible Woman can. So maybe that settles it. Now we know that Rocket Raccoon, because of his lack of a defensive ult, means you shouldn't pick him. He's not great in higher lobbies, and he's really not worthwhile when you're trying to reach the tippity top of the ranked mountain, right? Wrong again! You just don't get it, do you? This character doesn't make sense. Despite the fact that he does not have one of the most powerful abilities in the game in a life-saving defensive ultimate, Rocket Raccoon is still picked by very highly touted and reputable players such as Defran on an extremely regular basis. While not being able to deal out a lot of damage and not being able to save your team, he does undoubtedly impact your chances of winning in great ways simply by raising your floor of healing to an astronomical level. Sure, we all know the real stat stuffer healer is Cloak and Dagger, but Rocket Raccoon is very closely behind. And if your team is survivable enough and really only die 1 or 2 at a time, that respawn beacon can actually make a big difference. His most obvious benefit probably comes from his team up, which actually giga buffs Bucky, the Winter Soldier, and the Punisher to unbelievably great heights. Seriously, if you do have one of those guys on your team, don't feel bad about picking Rocket. But outside of those, that's when things get very polarizing. You can argue he is a worthless rat that respawns you just to die a second time with no defensive ultimate, 0 damage output, and an absolute total waste of oxygen in space. You could also argue that the win rates are undeniable, his survivability and healing output is extraordinary, and he is simply a valuable asset in a game that comes down to damage dealt versus damage healed. So, what real conclusion can we come to after learning all of this, after examining the evidence, comparing him to different legends? Is Rocket Raccoon really good, or is Rocket Raccoon really bad? We don't know. If you pick him, you're well within your right to say you ought to pick him and he's a great choice, but your teammates are well within their right to complain and ask you to pick someone else because he's just a little bit of everything. And at the end of the day, that's what makes Rocket so bad, so good, but at the very minimum, so dang weird. And as always, thanks for watching.